And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Hal Roden. I'm your host with Roden's Rant, coming live to you from my office with Roden's Rant in this edition. Okay, a lot's been going on since the last week in the last Power Rankings. We're going to cover a lot of things this week, but really the main topic's been injuries. But before we get started, I want to have a quick moment of silence for all the victims and their families of the Boston Marathon and the tragedy that took place yesterday right by the finish line of the Boston Marathon. So if we could have a quick moment of silence, that would be great. Okay, lot to cover here. First and foremost, I got a nice new haircut. Everybody can take a good look. I look nice and cleaned up since the last episode. That's not the purpose of the show, but nonetheless, we have got a lot going on. We've got a lot to cover. We've got to update the power rankings. We've got to go over some major injuries over the last week in Major League Baseball. Injuries such as Jared Weaver, injuries such as Zach Greinke, injuries such as Jose Reyes, injuries such as Johnny Cueto. Okay, some freak injuries just like Weaver, just like Greinke. Some senseless injuries just like Jose Reyes not being able to slide. Johnny Cueto with the lat string. Does the World Baseball Classic have anything to do with what went on with the freak injuries, but the other injuries? Injuries like maybe I can't even say Reyes, but maybe I guess Cueto. That could be World Baseball Classic injuries. It just seems like these guys, they go to play in the World Baseball Classic, they're still not ready to play, they're still not in shape, and maybe some of those things, those nicks and pains that they get in the World Baseball Classic carry over to their teams, and they're not fully prepared to take the field and play at full speed because they're not physically conditioned yet. A lot of different things to go over. Main things. Let's start with the injuries. Right, the injuries are a very big part. First, I guess you had Jared Weaver, who took a shot back at the mound, fell to the ground, fell awkwardly to the ground to protect himself, and he landed on his non-throwing arm, and he broke his left elbow. I don't think I've ever seen it before. It's unfortunate. It's something where nothing you can do to control, but it's just one of those freak injuries. Another injury, I take personal offense to it because it affects my team, is Zach Greinke. I mean, Carlos Quentin, how this guy isn't suspended for 20 games is beyond me. Okay, I don't agree with Manley that he should be out as long as Greinke is. You can't do that. That's the union would never let that. But 20 games should be the price. This guy charged the mound after getting hit by a pitch. He might not have dove into this pitch, but he dives into a lot of pitches. I don't want to hear there's a history because you got hit twice, back in '09 and back in '08. It's 4 years ago. Enough already. So you got hit a couple times. Take it. It was a 3-2 count, one-run game. Okay, you got hit in the arm. So you can get out of the way of it. It's not the first time you get out of the way of a ball. And, if I look at the video closely, you do look like you dived in a little bit. They're certainly not trying to hit you in a one-run game with a 3-2 count. You charged him out like a bull, like a bully. You outweigh the guy by 50 pounds. Really? 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 Carlos, I've taken more bulls to the chin than any man has ever taken Quentin. Come on. That's enough already, Carlos. You're a joke. You're in San Diego. No one cares. You're not even relevant anymore. Okay? Why don't you go play rugby or something? Because you clearly don't know how to play baseball. And you clearly don't understand baseball. Okay, you got hit, take your base, go to the base. Yeah, I'm taking a little bit personally because he's on my team. But I was tempted to jump on a plane, fly out to LA last night, and look Carlos Quentin straight in the eye and take a ball to his chin. That's right. Because Carlos, let me tell you something, my man. You guys are going to be facing the Dodgers again this year like you did last night. And Greinke will get back on that mound. And you're going to take a shot. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Matt Kemp, I applaud you. Sticking up for your teammate. Haston, I applaud you. Sticking up for your teammate. Where was the catcher, though? The catcher did a poor job of getting between the pitcher and the batter. The catcher's job in that situation is to get between the pitcher and the batter. And he didn't do that. He just flat out didn't do it. Bad job. I believe it was A.J. Ellis. Bad job by you, Ellis. And where were you, Agon? You were nowhere to be found either. First baseman's supposed to be there. Bad job by Agon. Bad job by A.J. Ellis. Bad job by Carlos Quentin. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just a bad job all around. Okay? Carlos Quentin, your time is up. Okay? Time is up. I'm sure it won't be the last time you get hit by a pitch either. Let's move on to the next injury. Okay? Jose Reyes. Can anyone tell me what he was trying to do? What kind of slide was that? What kind of slide was that by Jose Reyes? It's a bad slide. I mean, do you slide like that, you're going to hurt yourself. I feel bad for the guy. Yeah, he did leave the Mets high and dry. Okay, you pulled yourself out of the last game of the bounce. I didn't like the way you ended your Met tenure. Don't wish any harm or injury on you, that's for sure. I felt bad he was just sitting there crying, but you have yourself to blame. I mean, just what kind of slide was that? I know you're going to miss 3 months. Toronto's still loaded offensively, very much like Goldtip. And I know this injury affects Goldtip. Or maybe it doesn't, because Goldtip's just rolling right now. Rolling offensively, rolling pitching-wise. Although I don't think the pitching can continue to pitch at this level. Maybe there'll be a slight drop-off. But is it the year of the Goldtip? We're going to get to that later in the rankings. Next injury. Johnny Cueto goes on DL. And this is an injury that, although it affects Brett in a bad way, and Brett's been hit by a rash of injuries. I mean, if we look at Brett's team, okay, and we're going to look at Brett's team right now. If we look at the Mullets, I mean, they got a lot of guys on the DL. A lot. Okay, he's got Granderson, who he picked up in the trade, is in the DL. He's got Aramis Ramirez on the DL. He's got Jason Kubel on the DL, Corey Hart on the DL, David Ortiz on the DL, Johnny Cueto on the DL. Cueto's going to hurt you a little bit. Okay, because he had a very good year last year, coming off a good year. Looked like he was having a good year starting off this year. That lat strain could be, 3 to 4 starts, could be longer. Your loss is going to be Jay-Z Baines' game. And the reason being is because one Tony Cingrani, the most heralded pitching prospect so far this year, is coming up to pitch. And if he does, which I believe he will, he does what he did down the farm for the last 2 years, including the start of this year. He's here to stay. Big lefty, throws 95, 96, nice slider, okay, good changeup. Has to fine-tune a couple of things, but the guy misses bats. He misses bats. They pulled him out of it. It's not official yet. He will make his start Thursday. I believe they play the Marlins. I think. I'll have to double-check on that. Okay, but they pulled him out 2 innings after Sunday, so this way he could be ready for Thursday. And when he comes up, he's going to come up to stay. Tony Cingrani is here to stay. Make sure you remember that name. Okay? He is here to stay. Let's get on to some of the other things. Okay, what else is going on about the league? Was there some disgusting trade offers out there? Was there any rumors or any rumblings of any nonsense? What's been going on? I see teams, I look at the standings now, and I look at the last week, power rankings. I see teams have closed the gap, teams have made climbs, teams have dropped since last week. We're going to go over that as well. But the main thing I want you guys to do is I want you guys to take the initiative to call into Rogan's Rant, whether it's by email. You can email me at hrcs11@verizon.net, or you could call the show live. 516-308-7150. Call in. Speak to me personally. You have any concerns or anything you want to address? Call me. Let's go over it. Let's see if we can bring out what needs to be brought out of the East End Baseball League. Let's make this a league that's available and fun for all the owners, where competition thrives. Bad trade offers fly around. We get them out there. So this way we bring the culprits to justice, and we never have to deal with it again. And there was some bad offers. I got handed a bad offer myself, although wasn't horrible, but wasn't good. word to the wise, if you're coming after a team's best player, you better step to the plate. And there was an offer that was made to me by Mr. Arbiter. We're looking for Ryan Braun. Okay, one Ryan Braun, offered me Emily Encarnacion, offered me Nelson Cruz, offered me Profar, offered me Marte. And I quickly rejected it. It's a bad offer. It's my best player on the team. You better wow me. I'm vulnerable, but I'm not as vulnerable as a girl on a high school prom date. You remember that. You come after my best player, you better come with a great offer and knock me off my feet. Okay? And again, who knows what happens with Braun? Maybe this whole MLB thing with the biogenesis clinic, they bought documents. Supposedly A-Rod tried to buy the documents, so baseball stepped in and bought them before A-Rod could. A-Rod wanted to buy them to destroy them, supposedly, allegedly. We're going to find out about that as well as other names in the coming months. Let's get on to the power rankings. And like I said again, if you guys want to call the show, 516-308-7150. 516-308-7150 or email me at hrcs11@verizon.net. Let's go on to the power rankings this week. Okay? We've got a very busy week. Last week, Gold Tip was standing at 73 points. Gold Tip is now up to 83.5 points with an offense that is just absolutely cruising. But more importantly, as we take a look at Gold Tip's team, we can get a good feel as to why he's got 83.5 points. Because as we all know, no matter how good you are offensively, if you lead every offensive category, it's only 50 points. So where are the other points coming from? Okay? Well, it's coming from his pitching. He's getting great pitching up and down from Beckett, who looks like the Beckett of old. He's getting pitching from Bumgarner. He's getting pitching from Cobb. He's getting just recently acquired Jaime Garcia. He's also getting great pitching from Medlin, Samardzija, and Sanchez. These guys just aren't slowing down. Okay, do I think they will slow down? Yes. I don't believe Anibal Sanchez is going to pitch to a 1.4 ERA all year. I don't believe Samardzija is going to pitch to a 2.7 ERA all year. I don't believe Chris Medlin is going to pitch to a 1.5 ERA all year. Okay, I don't believe Beckett, although Beckett could be 3.5, 3.6, so I think there will be some sort of drop off. And I think Bumgarner will probably settle somewhere in the high to mid twos. All right, so I am impressed with Gold Tip's team so far, and he does have staying power. Okay. So he climbs up, and he still holds the number one spot. Now, number two last week was Jammer at 68.5 points. He's had a slight drop-off as he's gone to 60 points. Okay? And the reason for the drop-off is very simple. He's got certain guys who just aren't performing. He's had some pitchers who he's been hard-pressed with, although he's still got Loesch pitching well, Mike Minor pitching well. His closers really haven't gotten the job done. C.J. Wilson's been hit or miss, and so has Brett Anderson. So when you look at it, there's been a little bit of a drop-off also offensively. I think he had a little bit of a drop-off from last week to this week. All right? So now taking the two spot, okay, this week is J.K.A. Express, who's jumped from 62.5 points last week to 64 this week, and J.K.A. Express still hasn't hit all cylinders. The defending two-time champion, very good team. Hasn't hit on all cylinders, has no homers out of his catches. Edwin Encarnacion has yet to do it. Ricky Weeks has yet to do it. Todd Frazier slowed down a little bit. Alcides Escobar is doing what he does. Jed Lowry not going to hit 384 all year. We know that. Alan Craig is yet to hit. Nelson Cruz really hasn't hit. Cargo's hitting. Austin Jackson's hit well. Adam Jones still tearing the cover off the ball. Starling Marte, who was one of my guys last year, who I thought could have a breakout year this year, has done well, and he gets newly acquired Brett Lowry. So his offense isn't even hitting on all cylinders, and he's occupying the number two spot. And the reason he's occupying the number two spot is because guys like Kane, even though he had a bad outing not too long ago, he's got Jose Fernandez who pitched well in his debut. Gio got shelled in his last start. That might be one of 5 or 6 times that happens this year. He's got Rue, who he liked and has pitched well. He's got Teheran, who has not pitched well, and I don't think will be in the rotation much longer. He's got Verlander. He's got Jordan Zimmerman coming off a good outing last day. So his pitching's kept him in it, and his offense has been mediocre at best. Still sitting at the 2 spot, a little itchy back here, guys, if you don't understand. Sorry about that. Still got hair on the back of the neck. He's still sitting at 64 points, and he occupies the 2 spot. Jammer slides down to 3, going from 68.5 points last week to 60 this week. Haku's is sitting at the 4 spot. Now, Haku's is an interesting team, okay? A very interesting team. As I said all year, Cruz has got the pitching, he's got the horses, he's got Lester who keeps on dealing. Okay, Lester with another gem the other day. He's got Buchholz who's been lights out. He's got Chapman, obviously solid closer. He's got King Felix who is a beast. He's got Casey Jansen, the closer, doing well. He's got Alexi Agondo pitching out of his mind. I don't think that continues. He's got Sabathia pitching very well, keeping that Yankee team in a race. And he's got Ryan Vogelsong, who is just off to another slow start. But his pitching looks very, very good. And as I said earlier in the year, as I said again last week, and I'll say again this week, he's going to need to trade one of those arms to get some offense. Okay, offensively, it's all right, getting good production on his catches. Joey Votto's been okay, hitting 317, but only one home to show for it. He's got Altuve, who's been serviceable at best, still not a good first pick in the draft. He's got Sandoval third, Andrus, who's doing nothing at short, which I think it was stupid for them to sign him to a contract when they have Profar in the wings. He's got Simmons, who's done nothing in short, so he's not getting a lot of production from his middle infield. He's got Adrian Gonzalez at first, who's been raking, Carl Crawford, who's back and healthy and looks very good. He's got Carlos Gomez, who's done nothing, Brandon Moss, who's off to a very good start for Oakland. He's got Daniel Navas, who's done well. He's got Reddick, who's been hurt. And he's got Howard, who's been hurt. And we got a live call, so I'm going to break from the rankings real quick to answer this call. Rovers Rant, how are you today? Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?
Kevin from the island.
Hey, Kevin Sepp, how are you today, man? There's been a Kevin Sepp sign. The last time there was a sign of you on the show, there was two dogs walking out of your room underneath your desk. How are the dogs?
The dogs are doing well. They're healthy. They still eat, sleeping, and pooping. So I guess that's all we can hope for, right?
Absolutely. Last time we saw them, there was a tickle hawk thing going out there. I'm not going to address too much on it, but it was what it was, and it went very well. So it was pretty good. The room's still green over there. We haven't painted it since, have we?
Well, we've actually moved the office to the basement, so I'm actually in a different locale as we speak.
You're in a different locale? Okay, very good. I was just going over a bunch of power rankings. I was addressing all the injuries. I addressed your Jared Weaver injury, which is a freak injury. It's been a very, very tough year for injuries. Myself with Zach Greinke getting tackled like it was rugby with Carlos Quentin, who's taking more balls on his chin than some gay porn stars. Anyway, it's been pretty bad. Nonetheless, a lot of injuries, a lot of really tough injuries out there. I'm glad that you called into the show. We've discussed in the past. I know one of your friends is one of the new owners in the league, Mr. Doug Rooney. I love saying that. Can't say it enough. I know you introduced him into the league. He looks like he's got a pretty good team and ready to make a move. And I was curious if what the state of the address is coming from Kevin Sepp.
Well, my team, it is what it is. I've been pleasantly surprised by some of the offensive players, but on the pitching side, I don't know that it could be any worse than what I've got right now. These lovely 1/3 of an inning outings, 5 earned runs by God knows how many relievers, and then the slow starts by Dickey, Halladay, Weaver got lit up his start before he hurt his arm. Peavy had a blowout in his second start. So, last time I looked, I think my ERA was sitting in the 7s. Maybe that's changed. I don't necessarily know. I'm not looking at it right now.
Yeah, your team pitching staff, your ERA looks like a women's line score for a women's softball game.
It's rough. It's rough, but what are you gonna do? It's you gotta get these fucking relievers to actually get a clue on how to close games.
But on a bright note, you had Paul Mahalem, who's looked pretty good, and I don't expect him to carry a 0 ERA all year, but he's looked very, very good. That Atlanta team's playing very well. Halladay had a good outing in his last outing. Ari Dickey settled in his last outing after having a couple of rough starts out of the gate. So you got to figure he's going to be better. You got to figure Halladay's going to be better. I see you just picked up recently acquired Tim Huxon, and you can't go wrong with the Atlanta Braves pitcher right now. And between him, Mahalem, and PV, he'll settle in as well. I think the pitching will settle in. And right now, what's really been a surprise has been your offense. Your offense, you got 38 points in batting, from the likes of Yadi and Molino's hitting very well, and you still have now Ike Davis hit. Brandon Phillips is on absolute tear. This kid Matt Carpenter looks really, really good. Chase Utley looks like the Chase Utley of old, and you're getting good production out of Alex Gordon, getting good production out of Alex Rios. So your hitting's been really, really solid.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised on that myself. I had a lot of question marks coming in. Guys coming off injury, guys having, what sometimes, is perceived as career years. So, we'll see what's that. I got Headley hopefully coming back in, the next week or so. And then hopefully, V Mart and Davis can turn it up a little bit and get back to their normal selves. And I'm sure we can expect some regression on some of the guys, but we'll see. And then if that's a strength, if that continues to be a strength, I might have to make some deals to strengthen bolster my pitching staff a little bit.
Yeah, listen, I think some of your pitchers will pitch a lot better than what they've shown so far. Maybe some other guys like Mahalan will settle in somewhere. But same thing with your hitting. You have a lot of guys who are proven hitters who haven't hit yet, and you have some guys who are off to a pretty good start. So there's got to be a nice even balance somewhere. But I'll be very honest. I said in the beginning of the show, before the season started, I thought that Kevin Setz's team was a rebuilding team, a team that needed to kind of get things going and to kind of look towards next year and do what kind of Tony did a couple of years ago and to stockpile guys. But I'll tell you what, with the way your team's off and running right now, you got more points than my team does. All right, so who am I to talk? It just goes to show you really can't figure this shit out. But your team's off to a pretty good start, and if you can get some other guys to perform, pull a deal here or there off. I mean, you're a guy who fights it down to the money each and every year. You never know what happens, and we see where we go from there. Now, what's surprising to me, and I think it's surprising to a lot of teams and a lot of owners, is the stranglehold that Goldtip has right now. And I'm really not surprised with his offense because I expected his offense to be this good. But could anyone have picked his pitching to do as well as they've done so far? I mean, the guy's sitting on 83.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I don't know that anyone kind of expected that. I mean, you're probably going to have a little bit of regression coming in there with some of these guys that are, doing a little bit better. You can't have everybody having career years.
No, I agree. I mean, he's got Chris Medlin with an ERA of a run and a half right now. He's got Anibal Sanchez with an ERA of 1.42, and Madison Bumgarner we expect to throw, and Beckett is off to a pretty good start. But I mean, and Samardzija. I mean, he's off to a pretty good start as well. But like you said, you can't expect all these guys to continue. I mean, his offense is very, very good, and and he's had a lot of injuries with Hanley and Jose Reyes. But it just seems like his bats are up and down the lineup. With Fielder, Pedroia, Longoria, Tulowitzki, Cabrera. It's like an all-star team.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, he's had extremely hot starts from a number of these guys, even guys, with established track records. I mean, Justin Upton, I think he's done more in the first month than he did the whole second half last year. So, the guys are healthy and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, you definitely can't fault them on the offensive side of the defense. And Andy's always been big on the offensive side. He's not usually a big pitching guy anyway. And, up to this point, it seems that strategy is playing itself out pretty nicely for him.
No, it is. So what can you tell the rest of the league about Doug Rooney that we don't already know? Is there something a tidbit you could give us about Doug that maybe the rest of the league doesn't know, that I don't know, some of the owners who aren't familiar with him? I mean, it's interesting. It's his time to make the babies. I know it has something to do with his profession, correct?
That may or may not be true.
I love the evasiveness.
I've actually got a very good story behind that, but we can get into that. But yeah, Doug is actually a quasi-family member.
Okay.
Not necessarily just a friend. He's my sister-in-law's cousin.
Okay.
So, and also a fellow Binghamton University alumni.
Oh, okay.
With myself. So, we've got those couple of connections there. But the most interesting connection actually does go to his outside of him being in another fantasy league with me, both in football and baseball. He related to his profession, which is, he is a, and he can correct me if I'm getting the terminology wrong here, but he is a quote, a scientist and within a fertility clinic.
Oh, really?
Interestingly enough, so yes, when my wife and I were having some, not to get too personal, some struggles in that area, we actually enlisted the help of the best doctor on Long Island, and it just so happens that Mr. Rooney works in the same office.
So, I'm trying to make a little bit of a joke, and I don't want Doug to take it personally. I don't think it will. So it's not too wrong to say that he could be considered a semen specialist.
Yes, he is
Okay.
definitely well skilled in the arts of semen spinning.
Okay, that's it. And I'm going to leave it at that because I want to keep it tasteful.
Yes, well, but listen, this is a serious profession, and he provides a very beneficial service.
Absolutely, and like you said, you had to enlist him because you listen. So it's very important because of when you're trying to be able to conceive and be able to do things of that nature. There's certain things that you need to know, and if he can help and let you know what you're up against, that's always a good thing.
He had a very big hand in my wife and I having our first son, so
No,
I will always be eternally grateful for him and his skills.
well, that's well. When you talk about skills and a big hand, I'm gonna I'm gonna leave it at that. But I'm glad that he was able to have a big part in you guys being able to have your son. So that's absolutely great. So it seems like Doug's a pretty good guy. And if any of you listeners out there who may need some help with your semen, don't hesitate to call upon him.
Yes, quality owner, quality owner.
That I like to. I haven't had the pleasure.
It's a rough bargain in trade, so just expect that.
I haven't had the pleasure of speaking to him yet. Hopefully, I have the pleasure of speaking to him soon. So, have you had any bad trade offers that have been thrown upon you yet this year that we need to bring out on Road News Rant? And you can bring them out.
Not necessarily say that I have. Tony's made several offers for Oscar Tavares, none of which I would consider bad. It's just one of those. It's more of a case of I don't know that I want to really deal him. I think he's ramping up to be a special player, which I have very few of those it seems in the minors over the course of the years, especially on the hitting side. So I think it's more of a case I really want to see what this guy can do. I think I got some good bench strength in the minors right now that'll help me over the coming years, but. I don't know how many are going to be coming up this year and will be major league ready, but I have gotten a number of offers from Tony for Tavares. So who knows? Maybe in the end we'll work something out. But at this point, I think I want to hold on to him.
Now, if you got offered, and I want to bring an offer to you, if you had Ryan Braun on your team, and I know you don't, but I want to put you in a situation.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you your opinion, and I want you to be honest. If you had Braun on your team and you were made an offer of Edwin Encarnacion, okay, Nelson Cruz, Profar, Marte for Braun, what are you doing with that? Would you file that in? Would you file that in the disgusting offer?
Yeah, I think I might have to file that in what were you thinking kind of thing.
Because that was an offer that was offered to me this past week by one Mark Arbor, and I thought it was a little bit of a bad offer. I rejected it immediately. And my exact response was, if you're coming for my best player, you better knock me off my feet.
Well, and that's true. You're coming for a guy like him, you got to be coming guns loaded.
Right.
You can't come with a 4-pack. I don't know anybody that's going to trade an elite player for a 4-player package, because that means you're starting to get into the pieces discussion, and you don't talk pieces for a guy like Braun.
Right. If you're gonna come for my best player, okay, I've got to get something better than him in return. He can't be the best player in the deal to go, and I'm getting pieces. So basically, my response was, that is one of the most disgusting offers I've gotten, and he didn't seem to believe so. But I'm glad I got another owner's take on it, and that was my disgusting offer of the week. And listen, we all get them. It's part of being in fantasy baseball.
You all make them too,
And we all make them. I've made them. I've made them in years past, I'm sure. And listen, and like I said on this show, I want to be called out if I do. That's just the way it should be. So, but as I said, it's been an interesting year. It's going to be a long year. It looks like we have the best group of owners in quite some time. Having Barry back in the league, myself on as an owner instead of a consultant, Doug Rooney taking the league, Brett, Larry back in the league. My only problem in the league's really been trying to get a hold of Jamie Husney. I don't know if you've spoken to him. Does he even exist?
Well, I made a couple deals with him last year. I find that getting him over text is the easiest way to do business with him. Can't say, I've had lengthy discussions with him, but I'm going to throw something out there that you, calling him out on your show is probably not helping you with your relations with him.
No, I've kind of addressed that.
Take a crack that, maybe that has something to do with it, but.
Well, listen, I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure it probably has something to do with it. Now, I'd like actually to get Jamie on the show. I mean, I was a little bit disturbed that I loved the name change from right before the draft from Hakus to Hammerhand Jobs, and then he kind of switched it back to Hakus. Hammerhand Jobs was a great team name. It was ingenious.
I agree. I thought that was. I loved it. Phenomenal.
And he had to change it back to Hakus. I think that might have been done as a slap in my face, so that's why I couldn't have any satisfaction with Hammerhand Jobs.
Well, you could always change the name of your team to, T-Blow Jobs. You can always go down that route.
I like that. See, that's a genius. See, that's why I like having you on the show. We got to get you on the show more often, Kevin, because your insight and your humor, it's much needed on this show. And listen, I also like a little bit of controversy. We had Mark Arbin on the show a couple sessions ago for the preseason power rankings, two-time defending champion. He's the guy that's to beat, even if he's not in first place right now. We're all gunning for what he took over the last 2 years. And I've told him, I go, when you come on the show, you can't be vanilla. You got to be got a little bit of an edge to you. That's just the way it's got to be.
No, I hear you. I actually have one question for you regarding the sale of Sammy's franchise over to the Rovners.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. By all means, please ask.
I didn't know if the included with the sale, and all of the assets, that you received the framed picture of Tony. And if that's the case, was it a little crusty?
Yeah, well, I did not receive it.
I'm not going to lie to you. You've been gushing about Tony's team for a couple of shows now, and I'm starting to get a little worried that, maybe now you got these pictures sitting on the desk there, and there's a little man gravy flying around. These are just the concerns that I just want to express my concerns.
No, absolutely. And listen, that, again, that's absolutely great. But no, I did not receive the picture. I believe when I took the franchise over, Sammy was clinging to the picture, and he did not want to give it up. And it was a dirty mirror. It was a dirty frame. So I had no interest in the dirty frame. But yes, I've been accused of having a man crush on Tony's team, and that is something where it's. I did have him finishing first above myself, and I was also above JKA. But no, Tony will take his lumps certainly throughout the show as we go through, and there is absolutely no man crush on this side.
All right, well, I'm going to work with Barry to see if we can't get you that photograph and a bottle of sauce scrub.
That might have been one of the best back and forths of East End Baseball League, and that was before video. Can you imagine how that whole thing would have gone down if there was video at that time?
Could have gotten ugly.
Could have gotten ugly. Can you imagine me getting on the screen and I would have had to put a little dabble on my chin there just to kind of further demonstrate the point?
Yeah, well, it's now we're getting into something. There's something about Mary. You got drippage going on. You might have someone hanging brain, and then then it's just everything's downhill from there.
I might change the name of my team to Hanging Brain. That might be the best one. That one might be better than Angry.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's one of in my former drinking days was one of our favorite activities while bar hopping. Throwing the brain and getting having someone throw you a block. Beautiful.
Oh, the freaking tears over here. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. I can't think of a better way to end our segment with you. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. You're always welcome. Please always call in. Anything that you want to talk about, you're always a welcome guest on the show.
All right, sounds good. I look forward to it.
I appreciate you taking the time in to call in and to spend a few minutes with us.
All right, well, be good.
You too. Thanks, Kevin. That was Kevin Sepp, and that was on Rovner's Rant. We enjoyed having him on here. I'm going to finish the power rankings, but I can't get over that hanging brain line. That was great. I want to wrap this thing up with a bow tie real quick. Okay, get into the power rankings, and we'll finish it up. All right. As I said again, Jammer sitting at third last week. It was time to make the babies, who's taken a big drop from 68 points all the way down to 55.5 points. Okay. We have Haku's sitting at fourth. Okay, it's 60 points this week. Last week he was at 61.5. He actually dropped a point and a half, but he climbed in the standings. Mega Power's making a big jump from 43 points to 60, starting to right the ship. Things are starting to go up for the Tony. No man crush here, but the team is good, and he is the real deal, and he will be around for a while, going from 43 points up to 60. Time to make the babies. All the way down in sixth this week, going from third down to sixth, but more importantly, 68 points down to 55.5. And we have Stunners, who we just spoke length on the phone, sitting at 54.5 points last week, 37. So, Kevin, kudos to you, making a big climb to 17.5 points. Team's playing well. We discussed it at length. And then we have my team at 46 points. I was dead last, 34.5 points. I've climbed 12.5 points since last week. My team's starting to gel a little bit, starting to get up in the pack with catch the pack offensively. Joe Mao with a big night last night. AJ Pazinski, I'm getting great production on my catches. Adam LaRoche with 2 bombs last week, not really hitting, out of the lineup. Danny Espinosa out of the lineup, hopefully back in today. Ryan Zimmerman, big night last night. Hopefully that gets him rolling. Starlin Castro, been producing all year long. Asdrubal Cabrera, starting off very, very slow, expect him to produce. Justin Morneau, starting off, he's been good so far, not great, not bad, just okay. And we got Michael Bourne, who's been on the tear, and of course he's going to be out 5 to 7 days because of stitches in his hands. Now, Holiday, big night last night as well. Torrey Hunter keeps on raking. Nick Swisher, been serviceable. Daniel Murphy, been on a tear. Okay, pitchers, Homer Bailey, who I got hoping to rebound after that shelling he took last week. A.J. Burnett, who's been very good. Free Area, who's been good. Hamels, who had a good start, but no decision against Miami. We got Kimbrell, been solid. Masterson, been solid. Wade Miley, been solid. We got Matt Moore, been solid. J.J. Puff's been solid. Greinke on the DL. But the big thing for Jay-Z Bang is going to be this start of Tony Cingrani, who's going to eventually be the ace of that Cincinnati Reds staff. All right, so I jump up, and behind me is Mullins, who takes a big drop from 56 points down to 40 due to all his injuries. And we got GCB, okay, who last week was at 46 points. This week is at 26 and occupies the cellar, okay. I don't quite get it because I believe your team is better than what it's shown, okay. You've got nothing in pitching. You got nothing in batting, and I like your team. I still think they're going to be a team that'll be there at the end. But you're going to have some work to do because right now you get nothing from Konerko, nothing from Hill, nothing from Chisenhall, nothing from Nunez. Kinsler's been good. Beltre's been Fowler is hurt, and that guy's got 6 homers. I didn't even know that until I just saw it. You got Kemp, who's done nothing. Trout, who's come out of the gate slow, had a home run I think last night. Shane Victorino, who's been good. Willingham, who's hurt and has been so-so. Freese, who just got back off the DL. Pitching, you got Sishik in the bullpen, who's done nothing. Gallardo has been a pig. Josh Johnson, whose velocity is down. Ian Kennedy, who will pitch better than what his ERA shows. Lincecum, who might be worthy of dropping right now because Lincecum's just horrible. You might just have to get rid of him and cut the tie. That guy needs to either smoke some serious weed, okay, or he's going to have to get something else to get him going. You got Shelby Miller, who's been your lone bright spot on the pitching side, and that's been about it. Okay, guys. Week 3, there you have it. Kevin Sepp, thank you for coming on the show. I know it's a long edition, 38 minutes. All right, this is Rovner's Rant. We've covered everything we could from soup to nuts. Okay, no pun intended with the hanging brain. And that's about it. All right, this is Rovner's Rant. I'm Hal Rovner. I'm your host. I'll be back next week. Here you go.